Welcome to Hope Horsemanship RAW, where we use uncut footage from real sessions. If you've worked with a horse that chooses fight over flight or goes into any of the fear reactions while you're trying to work together, this video could help you find a way forward together. This is Jamie coming to you from Hope Horsemanship, where we start with the mind because the body will follow. And this video today is going to highlight Tia from the Akhal-Teke Center in Lexington, Virginia. Tia is a young mare at the Akhal-Teke Center coming into her 4th year and has been featured in a few other Hope Horsemanship training videos. Today, we're walking up the hill adjoining her field into a place that is not really her comfort zone, but also not the deep end of the pool. Working in this middle zone space is great to reveal the things that won't show up in ideal circumstances and yet not end up in the deep end of the pool where we could be in over our heads. Tia tends to be a busy-minded, high-energy young horse, and though she does have a lot of energy, I would like to see her feeling better about working with humans. It's not just high energy alone. There's anxiety involved in this and concerns. And this work session, we're going to start to address some of those. As we go through these simple asking her to walk on a circle, what's going to become clear to me is that she's physically showing up to do what she thinks I'm asking, but mentally, she's not really committed. And with this horse, when her thoughts are not really with you and you get in the way or interrupt what she's doing, she can get pretty dramatic. We're starting out in a pretty good place. She's decently focused on me. And what I'm asking right now is for her to look. That was good. You see, she looked. And then I want to guide her out onto this circle. And I'm asking her to just keep on moving, and she's putting her attention kind of all over. The bugs are certainly distracting. I would like her to just stay in the conversation with me. You can see she's looking all over, and I'm asking her to come back and recenter with me. Not too bad. And now I ask her to look that direction. Good look. And then can you go ahead and take a walk out? But as she starts to go, she's not really doing the work together as I'm asking her. She's looking out and then getting distracted. She's looking around and getting distracted. And my flag is an indirect pressure to say, hey, come back. Hey, come back here. Not driving her, but asking her to recenter. Now, when I stop, I expect her to stop. That's better. And whatever happens with this horse, I want to make sure she knows she's not in trouble. A lot of horses can feel like when they're working under direct pressure, which a lot of natural horsemanship uses, that as the pressure increases or they don't catch something quick enough or they take time to think, often the increasing direct pressure can feel to the horse like punishment. And I want this horse to know she is not in trouble, but we do have an expectation that we're going to work together. Now here, I'm actually going to replay the last 30 seconds, and I want to bring to your attention how much she gets fussy with her head, and you just see this anxiety and tension coming out of her all over the place. And there's head tossing, there's prancing. She won't settle into a rhythm or a speed, and that all tells me that she's got anxiety, she's not relaxed, and she's also not centered in with me. And that is something that we're going to have to find a way through. And with this horse, it can be a little tricky. And as she continues in this fussy anxiety state, here the pressure is going to get a little more, and there we go into fight mode, which is something that this horse has chosen before. There are certain horses who will choose fight over flight, and it's not the most common, thankfully, but it comes out of a place of fear that I'm trying to address. Here I'm just going to stay the course and not get emotional with her and expect that she can come present and do this work with me. And what I'm asking is actually pretty simple. In other horses I've worked with that tend to move towards fight, usually they're protecting themselves against that increasing direct pressure that they sense as punishment. And it offends them. They don't really like it. They feel like it's unfair. And I think Akhal-Tekes have a certain amount of sensitivity towards unfair amount of punishment. So my flag being indirect like that, she has an expectation that since I'm a human, it's likely that that flag is going to come after her at some point. And it's going to take a lot of proving that that isn't the case. Right here, my flag has her worried. Now, I'm not going to be chasing her with it, but she is incredibly aware of it. And she refuses to look away from me and that flag to look the direction I'm pointing, which is an understandable concern she has. So I'm going to stay in here and ask her to look to the direction I'm pointing. And I see she's having a really hard time doing that. I have compassion on this little mare, and I want to make sure she knows that she's doing great and that we're going to work through this together. Let her take a look at my flag, which she's seen before, and I'm going to ask again, can you look? I'd like to slow this process down and break it into smaller parts. So if she would just get a look in a step or two, I'm going to, yes, reward that by just stopping and asking her to come back. But she went on autopilot, and I interrupted that, and this is where the drama comes from. Let's see that again. Here you can see she's calming down, and there is that look. That is what I really want from her, and I want to reward that. And here's where I stop. I'm just looking for that moment, and because she's on autopilot, she misses it. And that's when she starts to get really upset as I've interrupted her autopilot. But that's okay, because we're here to learn to communicate, not just get right answers. And so we're all back to good now, and she's looking much better. So let's try this again. Now, all this should look pretty familiar, because what I'm trying to do is present an invitation for her to come together with me in looking in a direction that I might ask her to go. But if she's not even looking, it won't work. So here she gives me a little look, and I want to reset and move us over to try again. One thing you'll notice is even though she's struggling to follow my direction to look, she is much less fussy, much less prancy, and she's beginning to think through these things. Earlier, when she was really fidgety and prancy and head tossy, her mind was not in the game. But you can notice she's gotten pretty good as a smart horse at trying to get her body to comply. A lot of times us humans get stuck with what the body looks like, and we miss what the mind is doing. But there is what I wanted. And then I right away just ask her to come right back without doing much more layered on top. I just want to start to set this foundation better and build her confidence. Two important things to note. I'm going to be looking to give this horse what we call the sweet spot so that she knows that being present with me can be a good thing. And when I reach out to touch a horse on the nose, sometimes people misread that as a petting to make them feel better. But when I reach out to touch the horse on the forehead or the nose, I'm actually checking to see how they're doing mentally. If the horse can't tolerate being touched directly there and they avoid, usually that's an indication that they're not actually mentally centered with you. And now you've just kind of come right up and gotten in the way of that mental focus. And if I'm not completely sure if they're with me or not, I'll reach out and just do a little touch to see if they can tolerate that or not. I hope you can see at this end part of our work session together that her head is not as high, she's not as fussy, even the bugs don't have her as fidgety because she's beginning to center in, quiet her mind, and just work together with less anxiety. And so I really have lower expectations right now of just getting her to be brave enough to look where I'm directing, to not always have to keep her eyes on me out of fear that she might get ambushed, because I will never do that to her. So that's a really great start. And also, I hope you notice that she had a pretty big dramatic episode before we got to this point. And a lot of times that will be a pattern. A big dramatic episode will often come before they'll settle in and realize that the work together actually doesn't have to feel like that. So I'm really glad to see where we're ending up on this day. It's not perfect, but it's a great progress to breaking through to having her begin to trust the work together, to calm down a little bit and find some relaxation, and to trust me to have a conversation with her that doesn't end up in direct increasing pressure that will feel unfair. In this little ending footage, I'm going to pause here. You can see she's beginning to take that look, but I can see on the ground that her eye is still pretty centered on me. So I am going to keep inviting her to actually look away. And when I get that, I know I'm going to be done for the day. And here is the moment I'm going to end on. She's taking a really good look in that direction, and then we'll walk away and call it a day of success. Thank you for watching our raw session with Tia, and these are real sessions with real horses in real time. If you enjoy this raw style of footage, drop a note in the comments so I know to make more of these along the way, and I hope something in here was useful to help you with what you're working through. Remember, start with the mind and the body will follow, and we'll see you next time.